Welcome to Kills and Kisses, the essential podcast for women who want to tap into their divine femininity.
Hey everybody, welcome to our first episode of Kills and Kisses. I'm your host, Alina, and I'm with the beautiful Stephanie.
Stop it. Oh my gosh. I'm blushing right now.
We are so excited to introduce our podcast to you guys. The reason why we decided to create a podcast, specifically, this podcast, and even name it Kills and Kisses, it's because there's a demand and because there's a need for it. We've been seeing on TikTok, social media, everywhere, this trend of men rushing to grab a mic and just bash women on podcasts.
Now it's our turn to bash the men.
It's our turn.
I'm just kidding.
To fight back. And the crazy thing is, it's like becoming normalized.
Yeah.
Like it's like a thing. No one says anything about it anymore, right? And I'm like, okay, come on. Now it's time for us to fight back.
Yeah, let's grab our mics and start our own podcast.
Okay? Let's grab our mics, let's grab our water, and let's talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Kills and Kisses. What? I know a lot of people are like, what? Come on, Kills and Kisses. That's like the most stupidest name I've ever heard of.
No, it's iconic.
I'm sure there's people out there that would say that, but there's a meaning behind it. I think with women, there's just the sort of idea that you just need to look pretty and sit still. You know what I mean? And just keep your mouth shut and let men walk around and just talk smack about women and not do anything about it because you're a woman. That's your job, right? So it's kind of like a sort of way of fighting back to that stigma and being like, no, Kills and Kisses. Like, we are beautiful, we are loving, and we are women. But guess what? Women can also fight back, and women have their own strength, right? And, that's exactly what our podcast is about, So, Stephanie, what was your reason on joining this podcast? I'm sure it's very, very similar to mine.
Honestly, I was not expecting to start a podcast. Even just 2 weeks ago, I was not expecting to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys don't know this, but this is for Alina and I's internships for a journalism program.
Yeah.
And kind of in a way we were paired up to do this. So this is
I'm happy we were paired up because I think we have such a good chemistry, and
I think so too.
We didn't really talk before this, so it was sort of like, okay, Stephanie, I've talked to her a couple times, but this is new, and we just had a really good conversation, and we're like, okay, we're gonna really do great on this podcast.
Yeah, I think we have a lot in common, so
yeah,
this is good. This is good for us.
Exactly.
Off if you want to get started on that.
Of course. So my number one rule on entering your divine femininity era, say that 5 times fast, this rule is a crucial one. And no matter what you do, it doesn't matter. I don't know how much you focus on yourself, take care of yourself. If you're not following this rule, all of that is useless, in my opinion. And the rule is to accept what is done and accept yourself. So that is accept what is done and accept yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? Now,
I have no idea.
Exactly. It's what? The name does not say it at all. So no matter what changes you implement in your life, it means nothing if you keep running back to your past and cannot accept yourself and what has happened in your life. It becomes this vicious cycle that you're sort of stuck in. How can you grow as a person when you're avoiding acknowledging and accepting who you are and can't accept what is done is done? I mean, where do you begin your self journey, your glow up journey, how do you enter your divine femininity era?
We're going to struggle with that word this whole episode.
With that one. We really will. How can you enter that era if you are stuck on the past and cannot accept yourself? For example, I'm sure we can all look into our own lives and find some sort of trauma or a bad memory, right? Like
A lot of them.
a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Some of them still haunt me today, but you know what? It's a process, and it's something that you're going to deal with throughout your life. It's not something that just goes away, right? We're always learning, we're always growing. And so I'm sure a lot of us can find some sort of bad memory or some sort of trauma or that we used to hold on to or still hold on to. Maybe we were laughed at for something back in school or bullied or been a bully. I've done a lot of crazy stuff. And it still haunts me today, but I'm working on it and I've accepted it and it's changed my life. And sometimes the trauma can be severe. Let's just get that out of the way. Sometimes, the trauma can be severe, and no matter how many times, if it's something somebody has done to you, no matter how many times you scream at them, yell at them, make their life a living hell, it cannot change the past. And as harsh as it sounds, this is I'm just trying to be blunt. As
it's
harsh
the hard
as
truth.
it sounds, the hard truth is that it can't change. It can't change, and nothing that you're gonna say is going to change what has happened. And I was reading this book by Richard Templer, the author of The Rules of Life, and he said something very interesting in his book. And this is my interpretation of this quote, and it is that to be awake and aware is to be ready to do the right thing. Now, how can you move on in life and grow when you're still holding on to your past? Now, something personally that has helped me enormously to deal with acceptance is that we've all heard of the main character, be the main character of your life, main character energy, you're the protagonist in your life story. And we've all heard of that, right? And so the way I deal with acceptance and the way I've sort of found this little trick that has helped me enormously is that trauma helps build my character. Trauma has helped build my character, like I watch a lot of anime. I love how I'm bringing this in. I'm such a nerd. And so when I think of trauma, I think of it as something positive. Like, oh, this is just my character development arc. And as silly as it sounds,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Like you're the main character and this is just my character development arc, right? This is when I'm dealing with stuff, and it's the, idea that, you're in your development arc, right? You're learning a lot about yourself, and that really helps me accept and conquer. I love that.
I love that. Oh my
Me
goodness.
too. I didn't even this is just raw. I didn't even know I felt that way.
This is your raw, true self showing.
Exactly. Now, the idea of loving yourself can be complicated and overwhelming. But if you simply accept yourself with all your so-called insecurities and weaknesses, it makes things so much easier, because now that you've accepted, you can build from that. And that is the start of your glow up journey and your journey into divine femininity.
Alina, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt insecure or jealous?
No, I'm just
No.
kidding. I wish. Yes, of course, I felt insecure and jealous, and it's one of those things that you're gonna deal with throughout your life.
Yeah. It's one of those
I
things that eats you up inside.
The most recent time that I can think about when I was insecure and jealous was just, seeing people just get it right with their lives, people finding internships.
Yeah.
People
no,
finding
we're good.
People finding their sort of getting their foot in the door and starting their careers, right? And I think with me and Stephanie, we can relate to this, where we feel like, what are we doing with our life?
Definitely.
So it's that insecurity and it's that mystery of what we're doing that's sort of sparking this little jealousy, but it's good. It's good jealousy.
It's good jealousy. We're supporting you.
Yeah. I'm supporting everyone that's going and getting those amazing journalism jobs.
Yes, props to them.
Props to them. But sometimes you do wonder, hey, why can't that be me? But we're taking that as something positive, and we're working hard, and we're happy for the people that are getting it right.
Yes, we're so happy for you guys, even though
Yeah.
we wish that was us, but
That was us.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so first of all, being insecure or jealous from time to time is so natural. You're not crazy.
It
and
is.
guess what? It's so common to feel that way in a relationship, and it's also common to feel that way about others. And although it's natural to feel jealous or insecure, dare I say, it's also unhealthy, when it gets to the point where you're becoming possessive or controlling over your partner.
Talk
That's
about a
when,
toxic relationship.
yes,
Come on.
that's when we know there's a problem. And besides the fact that projecting your insecurities and jealousy onto your relationship can ruin that relationship, or you feel like you're competing with other women, it's not a healthy mindset. And in order to enter your divine femininity era,
You said that right.
I know, it's all about a healthy mindset. Okay, girls. When it comes to relationships, the hard truth is that what goes on in your partner's mind is none of your business. And
Say
just like
that again.
yeah, so just like what goes on in your mind is none of your partner's business. That's your mind. They do not own your mind. You do not own your partner because you're with them. So,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So if your partner finds someone else attractive, there's sadly nothing you can do about it. There's always going to be a woman one-upping you, and that's honestly the hard truth. Even the prettiest girl in the world, there's somebody out there who's prettier than her. Like there's always
Exactly.
there's always going to be a woman one-upping you, and that sucks, but whatever. What you have to remember is that your partner chose you. They chose you, not that other
Exactly.
woman.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't let your assumptions, and don't let your, even in a relationship, it's like, oh, we're gonna live and die together. No matter
Mhm.
how close you guys are, there's still boundaries, and you still need to respect those boundaries, right?
Exactly. And I'm gonna get into that, Alina. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. So, if you're feeling insecure or jealous, when that's time to build up your confidence. If you're with the right person, you should be able to build up your confidence within that relationship. And
Of course.
yeah, so even though you can build up your confidence within a relationship, a lot of the time it's easier to build up your confidence and fall in love with yourself when you're not in a relationship. But you know yourself better than anyone else. You can be the judge of that. But it is easy to forget to focus on yourself in a relationship. But it's important to still do your own thing. You can use that energy you're putting towards overthinking and use it to improve yourself instead.
I love that. And you know what? I feel like a lot of the times when it comes to relationships, people think that you want to be better for, like, you should be putting 100% in for the
Mhm.
sake of the other person, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you should be taking care of yourself. You shouldn't rely on somebody else taking care of you. You should be taking care of yourself for the sake of yourself and for the other person, not the other way around.
Yes. Yep, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on another note, if your man or your partner is making you feel insecure or jealous, if they're liking other girls' posts or going out of their way to talk to other girls, whatever it is that crosses your boundaries, do not let them disrespect you.
Exactly.
That goes beyond the conversation of insecurities and jealousy, and that's just downright disrespectful and has nothing to do with your insecurities.
Exactly.
That's when it's time to have a conversation about boundaries, expectations, and respect. And
Exactly.
I'm sure we'll cover that in a future episode.
For sure.
How to set boundaries and expectations. So, yeah, but us girls, we also have to remember that men can project their insecurities and jealousy into relationships too. And
Exactly.
it's very hard for men to be open and vulnerable, and their insecurities might look like aggression or disrespect. The same way you're struggling to tell him, hey, I don't like you talking to this girl because it makes me feel insecure. They're struggling to tell you to stop talking to a guy because it makes them insecure. So have a conversation with them about it. If you
Have
see
a
them,
conversation.
if you see them, becoming more aggressive or maybe defensive, maybe you can ask them like, hey, what's really going on? Is something bothering you? Is there something that's making you feel insecure? Because guys can feel insecure too.
Exactly. And it's harder for them to be vulnerable and open up, but the communication is and trust is just the base to a healthy relationship.
Yeah, communication is key.
For sure.
Yeah, so projecting your insecurities onto your relationship is not going to help your relationship grow. It's really important to learn where those insecurities are coming from so you can better yourself for your relationship and your freaking self, guys. Like,
and yourself.
Focus on yourself. And as Alina said earlier, do not better yourself for your relationship. Better yourself for your freaking self.
Exactly.
Because that's the whole point of entering your divine femininity era. Look at me, I got it down.
Right?
Femininity.
Femininity.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with it.
Oh my goodness. So, from a personal point of view, I've struggled and I'm still struggling with my insecurities. And I've noticed that I take out my insecurities on my relationship a lot, and blessed my boyfriend's heart, he's always reassured me. I catch myself often thinking about my boyfriend's exes and what they did together or what they have that I don't. Oh my gosh, those perfectly plump boobs, I wish they were mine. But but I need to really start building my own confidence and focusing on myself and developing that healthy mindset that I need in order to enter my divine femininity era. And I'm going to end off my portion by telling you a quote by Daisy Ridley. I actually had to ask my boyfriend who the heck Daisy Ridley is, and I guess she played in Star Trek. Maybe it was Star Wars. Honestly, please don't come after me. I don't know. But she said, it's one thing for other people to see potential in you, and it's quite another for you to understand that and see it in yourself.
Wow. Thank you for that quote, Stephanie.
You are so very welcome.
I am going to definitely think about that even after the podcast is over.
Honestly, I'm going to have to think about what I said myself, honestly, because I need to like actually
think about and reflect on all of this.
Exactly.
Right?
And I need to put this into my own life and build up my own confidence.
Yeah. Guys, we're not perfect ourselves, even though we're doing a podcast on being your divine feminine self.
It's learning with
something that
you.
Everyone struggles with, and it's something that even me and Stephanie struggle with. As we're giving you
very much
tips and tricks, we're dealing with our own struggles and we're pushing through. But you know what? We have a growth mindset, and that's what helps us continue. And that's what my next topic, you guys, is about.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
A growth mindset and a fixed mindset. This idea has changed my life. And another way to talk about this is you are not a label, but you can choose how you define yourself. You are not a label, but you can choose how you define yourself. All throughout our lives, we are hit with labels, right? We have this, everyone has a perception of us, right? And when I think about my own life, I've moved schools quite a few times, right? And every time I've moved schools, I've been like, okay, who do I want to be now? And I'd change myself up. And then I'd meet a group of people that I've never met before, and they had a completely different perception of me than the people back in my old school. And this was something that would happen quite frequently. I'd be like, who do I want to be now? Right? Even thinking about like how our program we're in a journalism program, for your information, if we didn't say that previously. And majority of our course was online and through Zoom calls. So people had a different perception of me. And when they met me in person, it was different. Like, oh my gosh, Lena, you're so much more outgoing. They're right. I did not ever turn my mic on.
No, same.
I was busy making breakfast in bed, right?
Honestly, yeah. I would do chores during Zoom meetings.
Exactly. No, seriously. But it was just so interesting how all these different people had a perception of me and had a label of what type of person I was. But here's the kicker. you do not have to move to another place. You do not have to move schools. You do not have to move from where you are to be someone else. Your labels don't mean shit.
Oh my gosh, you said a bad word.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Grandma, don't listen.
Exactly. You can change yourself all the time. And this idea is called a growth mindset. And that is that your intelligence and your abilities and your talents are learnable skills. And a fixed mindset is that your intelligence, abilities, and talents are innate traits that, you either have it or you don't. Now, here's a story in my personal life. I went to an Islamic school back in grade 7. That was a journey, and maybe one day I'll talk about how that was. But when I came back, and I was in public school for majority of my life, then I moved, and then I went to an Islamic school for 1 year, and then I came back and went to a public school again. So public school compared to an Islamic school is very different, and I think the difference, and I think a bunch of other factors made it so I became a very, very quiet person. I basically was mute, honestly. I would not talk at all. My teachers were just like, she never talks, whatever. Everyone in my class was like, she never talks. And people stopped asking, they gave up. Ever since I was a kid, and I think of elementary school, I used to get zeros all the time, to the point where I normalized getting zeros. And I just thought that was the way I was, like it's just an innate trait that I have, that I'm not confident, that I can't learn, and that was just an innate trait. That's who I thought I was, not something that I could change. And it was only when I went to this one class, I think it was some sort of learning development course, right? And that I took. And basically they talked about what a fixed mindset and what a growth mindset was. And that's when I sort of started changing things, it's not an easy thing to change, right? But, just start. If you're procrastinating or you're nervous or you can't change, don't think that, because you can change. But I think sometimes it just takes that step forward for you to start walking, right? So if you're struggling with, how to tap into your divine femininity, just start. And it's all about loving yourself. And another thing that I dealt with a lot was that I was carrying so much in my mind and I would not express it. Self-help is an amazing thing. Self-reflection is an amazing thing. And it is the sole thing of self-reflection that really got me out there and made me more confident. I did this thing. Basically, I read this book called The Artist's Way by, I believe it's by Julia. Hold up. The Artist's Way. It's just search it up, guys. Okay, just search it up. It's called The Artist's Way, and it was basically about how to connect to your creative self, right? And while I was reading this, I started doing this thing called morning pages, where I'd write 3 pages of just like, I just start writing. I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't lift my pen till I wrote 3 pages of whatever was on my mind, every single thought. And doing this process of self-reflection really made me realize a lot of the things I'd hold on to subconsciously. And when I started doing that, I started realizing what it was that was keeping me from, going out there speaking to people. And that was my way of healing. So, I'm going to leave it off with, don't let those labels define you, because you can change whenever you'd like. Don't wait to go to a different environment, and don't wait for somebody to come and ask you if you're okay. Don't wait for somebody to come and help you. Because if you wait for that, I promise you're going to wait a long damn time. And you know what? Sometimes people wait and they still don't get help. because everybody's so busy trying to get control of their own lives. So go out and seek that help, and don't let those labels define who you are. You are in control of that, and you get to choose how you define yourself.
I love that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm gonna apply that to my life now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a new person every week, guys. Just wait. I was homeschooled in grades 7 and 8, and even though it was only 2 years, I decided to go back to high school for grade 9, and I used to be so outgoing and confident, and I had so many friends. Everybody was my friend. And then I went to high school and I had to start all over, and I hated starting all over. I felt like nobody knew who I was. I didn't even know who I was myself.
Yeah.
Like, I just had to start all over, and I was so quiet and like insecure, and I didn't know who to hang out with. I would hang out with this one group of people, and then they would leave me out, and then I'd have to go find new friends, and it was just so hard. And it wasn't until literally like grade 12 I started to gain that confidence, and I started to like be myself more. I started to be more outspoken. I would speak in class. My teachers would be like, "What the heck? Who are you? And have you ever spoken before?" Like, what?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, "Yeah, I've been here the whole time, and this is really who I am." And it kind of sucks that that was when COVID hit, and we had no school anymore, and I feel like I was just starting to find myself. And now that I'm in college, like, I feel like I'm gaining that back. I'm gaining back that confidence. I'm becoming more outspoken again, and I feel like I'm becoming my true self again. So
I love that. This is time for a Reddit segment, guys.
oh
This
yeah.
interesting thing that we're going to be incorporating in our podcast. So basically, we're going to read a controversial post on Reddit about divine femininity, about
Mhm.
being your best self, and just about women that we feel like needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm going to give the mic over to you, Stephanie.
Yeah, okay. So I found this one Reddit post. It's called Divine Femininity. And what better Reddit post to read than on today's episode, all about divine femininity? So this person, oh my gosh, should I say the username? Okay,
Just say it.
The username is Clout Demon 420. That is so funny. Okay,
Exactly.
so
Such a design feminine name, you know?
yeah. So Clout Demon 420 said, I was reading something the other day and it brought something to my attention I hadn't even thought about before. It talked about how most things related to femininity is some kind of effort, usually to look better. But I'd like to know if you can think of anything that is divinely feminine but doesn't involve labor in any way. So, Alina, do you want to answer that, or should I?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll answer. And I think if you have something to say, then feel free to jump in. I think when it comes to being your defined feminine self, it is mostly a mindset. You know, a mindset is everything. A mindset is what, shapes the way everything else plays out, right? But just like the way happiness is a mindset, but not everyone can just be like, okay, I'm happy. I am my divine feminine self. Getting into that mindset sometimes can be hard. And so to get there, you have to do certain steps to help you get out of the space that you're in already and become your divine feminine self. So I think that with anything, there's always going to be a little bit of labor involved. You can't just sit in one place and be like, I want this, right? And for some people, they can. But for example, when you think of divine femininity, or when you just think of happiness, sometimes people can be in such a bad place mentally that in order for them to be happy, they need to go out and do some work. Maybe that involves meditation. Maybe that involves going out and exercising. Maybe that is just making your bed every single morning, right? But that is what it's about. And when it comes down to labor, sometimes you have to. And for some people, they don't. And that is my answer to that Clout Demon 420.
There you go, Clout Demon 420. My piece on this is that, as you said, divine femininity is all about a healthy mindset. And I personally don't believe in any way it's about any type of labor, because even the prettiest girls could be so mean and so jealous and insecure. That's okay, guys, that's okay. But
Hey.
to enter your divine femininity era, it's all about a healthy mindset. And if you have a healthy mindset, that's going to lead into other things like confidence. And with confidence, you feel prettier. Like, it's not about looking pretty, it's about feeling pretty. And when
It's
you
about
feel
feeling pretty.
exactly, and when you feel pretty, other people are going to notice that. Other people are going to be like, yeah, that girl's freaking beautiful. Like, holy frick.
And she's feeling it.
Yes, exactly.
Confidence.
Exactly. It's about
Confidence is everything, guys. Let me
yes.
put that out.
Exactly. So yeah, responding to Clout Demon 420, no. Divine femininity is not about labor in any way. It's about your health, it's about your mindset and having a healthy mindset.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to our first episode.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening to our podcast called Kills and Kisses. We thank you for taking your time to listen to our podcast and stay tuned for more.